Okay, good evening. This is the May month Architectural Review Board meeting. I call this meeting to order. It's attendance call. Here.
Here.
Here? Here. Okay. I guess we'll move on to the next one. I don't see any citizens, but citizens time. Anybody want to speak? Looks good. Okay, citizens time is usually white. Move on to the minutes for approval. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Architectural Review Board regular meeting dated April 17, 2013. Second.
Okay, we have a move and a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No nays, I guess. Okay, now we'll. Did you want to move on to hallowed ground presentation? We might as well, since you guys are here. We'll be louder.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly move to new business.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Denise Harris, and I'm the director of the National Scenic Byway for the Journey Through Hallowed Ground. And I understand that many of you were at a presentation last month with Kate McGinnis Wyatt, where she gave a presentation to the town council. So I don't want to repeat a lot of that, but for those of you who weren't there, I want to give you just a little bit of background. As you're aware, Route 15 is a National Scenic Byway, is designated by the U.S. Department of Transportation. We were, and we are the byway managers, the official title from the federal government for that road. And a couple years ago, we were successful in working with all our partners, including Haymarket, to put forward a grant for the National Scenic Byway funds to do a what we're calling a master wayfinding plan. And in that includes signage, gateways, brochures, apps, everything related to wayfinding for the traveler. And we are nearing completion of these documents. And they included things such as we hired AECom out of Orlando, and they are really international leaders, this team of folks out of Florida, on doing signage plans. And so they produced a number of documents for us, including sign locations. They went the entire 180 miles and documented all the signs so that they can not only take a look at the signs that exist, but then as they propose signs that we would put up, potentially a sign removal plan as well, because we don't want to clutter the signs. So we have this sign location plan. They did, obviously, the sign inventory and sign removal plan. And then what they have started working on is this design intent document, which is the first step towards actually getting signs in the ground. And what they've done is they've developed signage that would allow us to go to design build and all the specs. And we've been working with the 3 state DOTs on these signs. And we were very, very close to having this finalized about a week ago, and then VDOT came back and had some more comments that we are now trying to work through. So this isn't quite finalized yet with the VDOT in terms of the specs for us to go to an RFP for design and build. But we have a second grant from the National Scenic Byway Funds, which enables us to actually go forward with an RFP for fabrication and implementation in the jurisdictions that are interested in participating, because it does require a 20% match for the signage. So my understanding is that the ARB in Haymarket is interested in doing a sign plan as well for the town. And the way this is designed is a couple of ways. One is it can either be designed to hand off to towns that already have existing signage in place like Leesburg, or it's designed for us to be able to work with local jurisdictions who might be interested in using what's being developed here to modify it slightly so that it works for the jurisdiction. And that way we have a consistent sign wayfinding up and down the entire corridor and ultimately the National Heritage Area. And as Kate said in her presentation to you all at the Town Council, Haymarket is so important to us because it is a central gateway with I-66 right here, and all the work Holly and I have been doing with VDOT on their interchange, and VDOT has said that they would work with us, obviously, in incorporating this into the interchange design as well as our Living Legacy palette. So I am happy to go into more detail. I believe you have in your packet examples, and you had in your packet previously the examples of the gateway and the directional signage. I'm happy to go into more detail, however you would be interested in me doing that. But I'd be more interested kind of in opening it up for questions to see what your all's thoughts are.
Yeah, we got to see, I guess your way, whatever they call it, the wayfaring sign, and also the larger constructed
The gateway?
gateway sign. The reason I wanted to get you here is I wanted to understand what your plan is, get your concepts, see how we can work with each other, because, of course, we're trying to come up with some type of branding for our town that resembles our town, and I don't want to end up, stepping over each other trying to get something that coordinates fairly well. You were talking about your plan has sign placement,
Yes.
sign removal. Sign removal, I'm assuming that's removing existing signage that will end up being duplicated, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, understanding where your placement is would help us identify where we can place things without having any type of conflict. And so, having a detailed package like this, once it gets finalized, might help us out a little bit.
Sure.
And we can work together. I can give you my email and we can start to communicate on that. But I don't know how in-depth the board has been on looking at this stuff. For instance, your gateway sign, it's definitely a concept that I think is a little bit, should I say, too rural for the motif we're trying to get. I think it seems like we always seem to be going more towards like a Williamsburg type of look, even though that's not what our theme is here. But, we might have to, the concept that we were looking at for putting a gateway type of sign in right out on 15 as they're coming into the edge of Haymarket. Right now, we just are starting to look at costs, and Leesburg's giving us costs of what they have on 15 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're looking at something as substantial as what Leesburg has, and I don't know what kind of discussions you've had with Leesburg on their signage and how it fits into your program.
What ours does is it's designed to, since it's a 180-mile long corridor, it is, to give you a little bit of background, in order to become a National Scenic Byway, all the jurisdictions had to come together and produce what's called a corridor management plan. And that was a huge undertaking. And that plan then is what was sent to the Secretary of Transportation. Within it, it includes a number of what are called anchor sites. It's what all the jurisdictions decided they wanted to have as anchor sites. This plan is signing to the anchor sites. But, so you probably are not signing to the anchor sites in what's in the corridor management plan. However, the historic Main Street communities are considered part of it. So what I would love to talk to you about, again, is how you do the handoff to a local jurisdiction. If there is an opportunity to work together on developing the signage, I'd be more than happy to do that. It is made with our logo is made with a tagline to be interchangeable. So, for example, Prince William County is interested in the gateway and have the tagline being say, welcome to Prince William County. That's just an example. In other places, it would say National Scenic Byway. So as you come off 66. So it is meant to be flexible and to work with our local partners however we can.
Yeah, we put together a packet to promote our idea. It's a pretty rudimentary packet. It just kind of gives a concept of where we think locations for our signs would be initially. And of course, there's no real design to it. We just kind of like slapped up some basic design and tried to identify a branding that we wanted to do. Has Holly passed that off to you by any chance?
I've seen what was in the staff report.
Are you talking about the report? I was at, you had it included, when I came to talk to you about the signs, included in there was what you submitted to VDOT along with VDOT's responses, with the sign concept package.
Yeah, it was a concept package PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, and it was dated from November. Yes, I passed that off.
Okay, so you can kind of see how major of a project we want to make this. I mean, it's not substantial compared to your efforts, but it is identifying our borders and developing some type of branding.
Absolutely.
And I think the major, the most substantial signage would be right before you cross over 66 on 15. And I don't think I really gave a good concept of that within that package. I think I just said, we could slap something in an overhead if they're going to have a directional signage for 66 that we can, incorporate ours in, or even putting some type of signage against the overpass, whatever that flyway, flyover, whatever they call it. But those concepts are probably going to change for that major piece, and that's something that we already understand won't come around for at least another 3 years until they even start to modify the interchange there. So, but the rest, they're just going to be basic signs, but of course we want to make sure that we're not conflicting with design or placement.
Sure.
And maybe even integrating them if possible.
Well, I am happy to work with you however you would like, whatever works best for you. And so if I hear you correctly, your timeline, your ultimate timeline is tied to I-66. But you would like to get as far along in the process as possible now with your approvals with VDOT and what have you.
Well, we're probably looking at a phased approach for our timelines. For instance, Jefferson Street, in the concept, there was just a proposed effort of, getting a standard sheet metal sign that goes and incorporates with the incorporated sign that just says welcome with our branding, or something simple like that. Those are things that we can nail down pretty quickly and get funding for fairly quickly, since they're not that expensive, and get that kind of stuff up. Those things we'll probably be doing in hopefully the next year. Depends on what kind of effort and what kind of ball we can get rolling to get it done. But like the major gateway, that will definitely be 3 years down the road.
Okay.
Or even further, because I doubt they'll even start that project in 3 years. So.
You seem pretty good now.
But yeah, I think this will probably be my legacy project.
Okay. Well, does anyone else have any other questions?
No, maybe the thing spoke with town council was very thorough.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great presentation.
Good.
But yeah, If you do you have a business card or anything?
let me check
What I
my
can do
bag.
is shoot you an email, and we can start initiating some type of a conversation and actually come up with some type of plan. I think the first steps will probably be for me to see your plans if they're finalized to the point where I can get an understanding of what you have. All I have to give you is that presentation. That's about
Okay.
all we have at this point. That's about as far as I've gotten with it.
Okay, well, let me see if I can get the electronic copies of the final ones, because these are draft. And because some of them, they've started to finalize them. Like I said, we've almost dried the ink on the design intent document. VDOT still wants to talk. So I'll see if I can get you the electronic copies, and
Okay.
we can start from there.
That'd be great.
Does that sound good?
If I can interject, when we had the previous meeting, you had given me some electronic information, which I have on our server here. Are you saying that information has changed, possibly? You gave me, I believe you did give me some, I didn't want to clutter up everybody's thoughts, so I only took out the little excerpts that are in the proposal. You did give me some of the sign locations,
Okay.
removal locations.
So you already have it
I
electronically?
have something, but if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying it might have changed?
Well, we're finalizing. We're getting the final documents. So, for example, the sign location plan, this is an example of what's changed. The sign location plan took into account the idea that you could have 4 destinations when you can only have 3.
Okay.
So they had to go back and revise that.
So do you think that what you gave me the other day, I should go ahead and pass along? Like I said, I wasn't trying to clutter.
Sure, it's a great
everything.
starting point. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that'll be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to see
Let's see if I have my
what
pen,
we
too.
had, 'cause I thought I remember seeing in the packet the Wayfair signs that we, well, those are ours, but I was thinking of bringing the house around. Go ahead. Yeah.
They were like, 1924. Like us, it's anytime. We've got like 20 hours town hall.
For pointing, yeah, I don't know if you wanted to identify those,
Right.
but like we throw that on the
I'll be here tomorrow, and I will print out what I have and leave it for you here at town hall. It's too big to email.
Okay, because really the only things that have passed by our eyes have been these 2 pictures here.
Okay.
So,
I will print out everything that she gave me the other day. It was a whole bunch of documents, and I wasn't trying to clutter everybody's minds and inboxes, but what I will do is print out what she gave me electronically the other day and leave it for you.
okay, that'd be great.
So when you're talking about doing signs for like the courthouse and stuff like that, that's actually off of 15. So,
Right, and that'll be more of a true Haymarket branding.
well, yeah, but do we utilize their design? Is there copyright on that? How does that integrate? Because you guys are, what we're talking about is putting signs like that or complementary to what you're doing.
And that's something we could talk about
In the
if
town.
you wanted to potentially use the shape and the dimensions, and I mean that's the kind of conversations we can start to have, and then put your brand on it.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like that's what you want, right? And that's
Yeah,
that's
ideally,
kind of what you're
it would be great to start to brand the entire region with a consistent feel, so that it's
Yeah, see, I went to a
Recognizable.
sign designer, and he pretty much threw back exactly what I had. This is what we have right now. So, I got to go back and say, I was kind of looking for some artistic interpretation since I am not an artist. And
Right.
so right now, this is all we have to work with, and so I'm stepping forward slowly but surely. But like I said, if you look at the concept, this is pretty much what we've already had in place from the initial concept, and I wanted it to grow a little bit better than that. I'm just asking.
Sure.
But,
Well, I'm happy to sit down and work our way through this, go through all the documents.
like when we go internal to town, though, since we will be kind of off of your trail, we would be using stuff like this to identify aspiring buildings, and, like the Haymarket Museum or something. So these will probably be internal, but like I said, this was the concept I had on 15 going by, and like I said, I just drew that up real quick just to get a concept of, hey, if we place this on the road, see what like they already did. That's all they threw to us was. Is that mine?
Yeah.
Okay. But, so that just kind of shows you how far we are.
Okay.
along. We got a long ways to go, but, I can pull this from my packet, right? If you want, you can keep these.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. So I'm assuming we're done, no questions, right, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. Hopefully we can get this moving and have successes for both of us.
Absolutely. I'd like that.
Yeah, I would, definitely. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now we'll move on to item number 4, the certificate of appropriateness. We have more than just a food line banner in here, don't we? Did Giuseppe's get theirs in?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Okay, first one we'll look at is the food line banner. This is kind of coming after the fact. They've already put it up, but if you look, you wouldn't even know it's up unless you go into the place because it's actually under the eave against the wall that's, 12 feet in.
Right, covered, yeah.
So it's not noticeable from the road, really. So, but I think there's a picture in here of
There
it.
is.
Yeah, there it is.
I move to approve the Food Line Millfoot Square banner for the dates up and until May 29.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I got a move and a second. It's open for discussion. Any discussion on this? No discussions. Okay. Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. And that one will be passed. Sign that. Okay, now we'll go to Giuseppe's COA. I think most of us here are familiar with what was already put up there. They enclosed half of the porch. Now they want to enclose the other half because I guess they're going to make it more of a sunroom in which they can keep a temperature control in it to satisfy the guests.
This is a front porch?
Yeah.
Yes.
They had talked about that.
Yeah, we approved the first
so-
half. Before they wanted to put some gaudy
Yeah, so this is what it looks like
awnings on it.
on half of it, and then they're just showing the open half here.
And when you really look at what they want to do, this helps balance the building out. Right now it looks lopsided if you look at it. So give you guys a chance to look it over real quick. And look for a motion.
This is new. permit number on here. I make a motion to approve the enclosure at 15120 Washington Street, Giuseppe's Restaurant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Up for discussion.
Yes,
Discussion?
so I'm clear, they're basically just building what they had, the existing, they're duplicating what they
duplicating,
have,
yeah.
and they're just bringing it to the.
Yeah, bringing it to the other side.
Yeah.
Pretty well got that alfresco dining, and they can actually get there and do some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I
Great,
think they did a
you'll
good
learn.
job on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh, it'll be really good. My only concern is that's their smoking area. I hope it doesn't enclose all the smoke.
They may not be able
Open a
to,
sliding glass door.
Yeah, true.
or they may not be able to smoke since it's an enclosed area.
Actually,
Yeah.
you're right, but it's not conditioned. Well, yes, would it be conditioned? No.
Oh, no, they may put out temporary heaters in the wintertime just to have a nice comfort.
Right.
But-
Yeah, that's where the line is drawn, it's a conditioned space, not a conditioned space.
Okay,
Oh.
any discussion? No more discussions, or everyone's good? Okay, I'll call it the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? No. Okay. That takes care of the certificate of appropriateness. We'll go on to the town council update, item number 5.
I really don't have much to update. We did award the contract for the enhancement project, so it's moving forward. Town master plan is still in works, and anything I can do with you guys, that's really it.
Okay. Now, we were discussing it earlier, but the enhancement project, that is just for 55, right? That's not for this parking lot? That's still under discussion? Or? Okay. Dang. I want so badly to get our parking lot done. I'd like to see that move through. Okay. Any questions for Kat? Nope. Then we'll move on to agenda item 6, Planning Commission update.
We did leave the historic overlay update public meeting open, so there will be another or a continuing chance to speak concerning that at the next town council meeting. The Haymarket Baptist Church kind of submitted the final site plan. I'm assuming that's going to be coming here at some point. They have not gotten VDOT approval letter yet, so it's still in process.
That's been a long time coming.
That's been a long time coming, right? And it's the package technically is not complete yet. There was a mutually agreed to extension to the 14th of next month. I think the next town council meeting is the 10th. Planning Commission's the 10th. Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to take it up at that point if they get the VDOT approval letters, et cetera, to us.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much in terms of what impacts this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they gave us an initial view of what they planned on doing. God, it must have been, what, about 2 years ago?
It's been going on
Wow.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been going on forever. And
It'll
again,
be
it's
interesting to see that fall,
yeah.
how that falls through.
So we're not done with it. And we have not, since it's not complete, we haven't forwarded it to the town council yet. So
Okay. Were there any concerns raised about the buffer land around it, putting up the bushes and all that stuff?
no, since their package wasn't complete, we didn't even really look at it. We just kind of postponed it until they get the, because VDOT, that's going to be a big issue. VDOT, they got to get VDOT approval.
Yeah.
So it's not likely, but if they don't get approval, then a lot of stuff has got to change. So
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know where we fit you in at, Marchand, but I guess we'll throw you under new business. We'll go back to new business again, item 7. You have anything you wanted to bring up?
No, Holly just wanted me to come and be a part of Denise's presentation.
Okay, well, I didn't want to take your thunder, but I guess I can.
What
You don't
thunder's
want to
that?
present it. The letter that you got from the Virginia, I guess, Monitoring Commission or whatever for CGL.
A CLG?
CLG.
Oh, no,
That,
we had just,
Our overlay is not required to be modified to
correct.
qualify?
We finally went to the source. I guess this email was sent a couple of months ago and got lost in the state email system, I guess. So finally, we heard back from the CLG coordinator at the state who said we would not have to change our borders to be a certified local government, and said, in fact, a lot of jurisdictions have buffers well beyond their district in order to insulate the core district. So we borrowed, or they sent us some model language for a historic district ordinance.
So have you been working with the Planning Commission?
So the commission, it was quite, just by comparison, our ordinance is about 5 pages. Their example ordinance is about 15. So I was asked by the commission, I got some direction from them. I mean, this is a all-out, every certificate of appropriateness is a public hearing. It's meant to be for a far more sophisticated, not that we're not sophisticated, but a far more sophisticated historic district where you have people on the register and things like that. So, people that do renovations according to the National Register or whatever. So I'll be bringing that draft, red line draft to the commission next month. I would expect at some point you guys would want to look at it and make your recommendation as well. The map was revised. I think the initial revision that went to the council took off basically everything from Giuseppe's west. Some of the council direction was that we allow our gateways to be in it. And we got some clarification from the state that you can include your gateways, your tourist entrances into your historic district. So the map was amended to basically include every gateway into the town, but still excluded the HOAs, the backside of the industrial park. So that will be slowly moving forward, but we're getting there. So, it does expand some of the qualifications for the ARB, or what we expect it will. CLG, and you're familiar with this, it requires your real estate guy, your architect, and several other qualified folks. But it allows you to, I think you're kind of constrained right now that you only have, I think, one non-resident that's on your board. The CLG, the example language actually, in their state enabling legislation that allows additional expertise to be on the board that's not necessarily a resident. So that may be helpful to you in terms of, I think you still have some extra slots on the ARB that you could fill with these expertise, if you wanted. So.
Well, until we start moving forward, of course, that won't be discussed. That's why in our old business, the bylaws are kind of tabled for now.
Gotcha. So, while I'm here, if there's any other questions, you guys, and get me 20 questions.
Anybody?
Town Center Master Plan?
Town Center Master Plan. We got some good. Excuse me. I ate too much ice cream today with my kids. I'll stand up more. The master plan, they've done the initial drawings, and essentially what they've done is come up with 3 alternatives for layouts for the property. There's some confusion. I think at first was meant that the council had to choose one of those 3. What the consultant said was no. What we would expect is you would blend all 3. Some have one-way traffic going through the parking lot. Some plans have 2-way traffic. Some have porous pavers that are used for part of the parking lot out front. Some have a more expansive area on the corner. Even like flagpoles. One plan has a nice attractive flagpole out on the corner. And then just some other features that they have. How we deal with the dumpsters in the back. Now that the police station's moving in here, that they were doing a lot to accommodate pickup and drop off if that was to remain a school. Now that that's not there, some of the alternatives may be more appropriate. Providing some sidewalk connections to the old post office and doing a better job of getting people safely around the back of the building if they want to go to the whole fish house. So there's the 3 layouts. There's also several illustratives of the building, which I think you'll find attractive. They actually create help me with the language, when you have like not a balcony, but a vestibule over the front of the front door, creates a more formal entrance to Town Hall, like a white color. The next section of the building would be more of like a plaster type of application. And then on the far side, around the corner, would be a porch on the front of the very thing. So, and they actually did a perspective from the corner looking back across the building. That just dresses up the facade, brings in a lot of trees. I was just asked by Denise whether or not the town would be willing to incorporate a lot of the heritage trees that they're trying to put along the journey through Hollow Ground. So it really creates a neat space. And they're also doing a narrative on how to implement that. So the expectation is if when they present it to council, the council will accept it, and then they'll have to make the next phase, which will be actually the design build. And you all as a group will be involved in looking at all those concepts, adding your own input, and then actually going to a design that can be funded and built. So this is really the preliminary phase, but I think you'll find it's interesting. It's exciting. I think we'll do a lot to dress it up.
It's very exciting. I didn't realize they included a facade to this building.
It's just an example. We have to preface it. I think it's the applicant or the consultant was very quick to say this is a concept. I don't like that red. I don't like that. So it was like, this is a concept. This isn't the final one. We expect that you're going to come in and debate some of these details. So that's how we're going. To catch you up with some of the town gossip real quick, the Winterham property was sold. The new gentleman that bought it is a gentleman out of Maryland that expects to start on the second building within probably about 180 days. That's the building that along Jefferson Street.
The whole property was bought, not
Correct.
just the Winterham.
Correct. It's still all one property, so it's the mansion and then the rest of the parking lots around it. So the building that fronts Washington, or fronts Jefferson, Fayette Street, will be going. Hopefully, they'll submit their building plans and start on construction of that.
Are they keeping the mansion?
They are. By proffers, they're keeping the mansion. So.
And are they pretty much just continuing with the site plan as is?
Correct. Okay. That's what they bought into was the vested plan or the shovel-ready plan.
Yeah, I believe there's architecturals for that too, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
There was.
That saves a lot of money for them. Just buying the property comes with the architecturals.
Yeah. So that will be happening. I believe the Payne Lane property right behind us, I've gotten some calls from the owner. They expect to put that up for sale as well. I don't think they intend to move on with the plan that was approved for that. Excuse me, I apologize. But I have been directed by council to start addressing the blight in town now that we've made the command decision on these two buildings. I think the council felt somewhat, not hypocritical, but there's another more politically correct term in terms of enforcing the blight ordinance when the town's own buildings were problematic. So now that we've rehabilitated those, they want us to start addressing that with the other building owners in town. The goal is by Haymarket Day in the fall, we'll have most of the blight addressed or taken care of. We'll see if we can make that happen. Sheets has tried a couple of times to meet with the town council. Their sticking point now seems to be the sign ordinance. It seems to be kind of a mixed message, and I'm not sure what they told you, but my subsequent conversations.
They haven't come to the planning commission. We told them, you got to come.
Exactly. So what's the nuance is their sign on. Is this interesting? I can talk to you. I don't want to bore you to death with this stuff. Is it okay, Mr. Chairman?
It's fine with me because, as you know, they wanted to include us in the meetings with their lawyers, which we said, you really want to drag this out, bring in the lawyers, because that will end up dragging it out.
So what that's going to require ultimately is, once the architecture is approved, my recommendation to them was we don't have a signed ordinance that accommodates all the signs you have out there today. So if you want to replace it, it's going to be a problem. The building, the signage on the corner, the backlit signage on the canopy, the signage on the pumps, all the other signage, they always have the temporary signage all over the place, the outdoor storage. A lot of that would be addressed as part of the rebuild. The question about the sign on the corner, that was actually a variance that was approved by the council. It's much taller and much larger than we'd otherwise approve. The ARB actually approved a revision to that 5 or 6 years ago. which changed out some of the panels and actually reduced some of the signage. And so they're wanting to know, do they need to apply for another variance? Could a different sign be approved under the existing variance? So there's all kind of these questions. About the canopy, I thought they were worried about wanting to backlit the canopy. And now, I guess with the recommendation you've made with a more solid canopy, they're willing to do like a gooseneck lighting to have the Sheetz logo up on the canopy and then have the gooseneck lighting. So, and then they're saying they won't need any signage on the pumps. I think the council's still interested in addressing the sign ordinance, but we're not there yet. So Sheetz either I told them was go through your architecturals, get started on your site plan, and then come back through with your signage package once you're ready.
Yeah.
And they seem like they want to do it all at once.
Now, question for PC, temporary signage, are they including all these, the crap that they stick on the pumps?
We haven't seen
as
anything
temporary-
from them.
It's temporary signage, but the question is, do we have ordinance for that? Because I think there was a complaint once before that, put all this crap
You
on
put,
top of
and
the...
we've got this beverage on sale this week, or this sausage biscuit on sale the next
and
week.
they also attach it to the poles for the canopy. And,
If they're saying
and
no signage
oh,
on
it's
the
temporary,
poles.
you don't need to get any approvals. So
Well,
I think
a lot
that
of-
falls within
At the point that they were moving fairly quickly, that was overlooked, but what I advised them was, as part of your special use permit, when you come back through, is you're likely to have a condition that says you can't do the zip tied signage over the bollards by the pumps, all over by the front, all stuck to the light poles. Same thing with McDonald's. When we thought McDonald's was moving forward, we expected that there would be development conditions that said you can't have, because right now, to be quite honest with you, it looks awful. You go through the
Yeah.
drive-through, they've got signage all over the place. They've got stickers all over the place. They're tying banners to landscape. So,
Yeah, speaking of McDonald's, you haven't heard back from them, have you?
no, after that one night where they brought up the logo issue with the swoop out front, I've not heard
Yeah.
back from them again.
Well, if you look on 29, that's the building they're proposing in here.
Essentially, yeah.
So, yeah.
Same one across the entire country, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely standardizing.
I have put sheets, and I've encouraged them to get in touch with the Journey Through Hollow Ground folks. What Denise was offering to me is that being the more or less the gateway to the heritage area, wouldn't Sheets want to create kind of a marquee architecture to really showcase them being the entrance to the corridor, and see if that would motivate them to do a little more. What's interesting is you tell them to go visit the canopy, well, we don't do the canopies, and they show up with, well, down in North Carolina we have this. So it's one of those things where you send them away, and all of a sudden they have examples elsewhere of what they've done it. But they've done it, so it's some general pushing back. They seem to want to deal with it. Pace West is gone to sale. They've actually signed a contract on it. The owner or the potential purchaser has a year to close. They initially want to move
And that is
QBE.
QBE.
Yep.
So they're still following through, because I know they lost their major contract, which I didn't know if that would give them any funding issues.
That was the rumor that was going around, but they've signed the contract. They're moving forward. I think what they expect to do in the short term is move a private school into the backside of that building. They're actually in two buildings. They're upstairs and then they're down the way. In
Foster's, yeah.
And because of how their contracts work, they physically have to be separated. So they expect to move their four-man office down to the Pace West, which they can do under the R1 zoning. Believe it or not, they can do small office. And they want to do some other little small schools in there, move in there temporarily. And then once they go to their corporate headquarters, they'll rezone the property to commercial. But they do intend to keep the ball fields as part of it. And they expect Sean expects to have them take out all that shrubbery that's overgrown in and around the area. So the ice rink has also submitted plans for a second sheet of ice on the backside of the building.
Still waiting for the front brick to be put on.
They've changed that as well. They now want to bring more or less like an overhang over those spaces that are currently out front. So right now they were supposed to enclose that overhang that's there today. They actually want to go even farther over the cars that currently park there. So those plans will have to come to you for review as well. But they've done a lot with the landscaping out there. It looks quite nice. So the last thing I'll stop. Heathcote Development owns all the property on the east side of Old Carolina, right as you got across the bridge. As soon as you go across Jordan Lane, you see kind of those small little bungalow houses that are along there. That was approved. The first property that you see is approved for a 3-story medical office. The one behind it's going to have a 4-story medical office. And the proffers that went with it are basically going to complete the pedestrian connection from Heathcote all the way down to the town. So they're supposed to do a trail and sidewalk from Heathcote all the way down to Jordan Lane, and then they're going to do a crosswalk across Jordan Lane so that people can cross the bridge. The bridge, when it's rebuilt, is going to have all the trails on the west side. So we were able to negotiate with that, with the property owner, and they agreed to do that. So that should really create some connectivity in the town.
That's right.
What's that?
Did we do that yesterday?
Well, the proffers at all, how quickly
I'd
they
love
move
to
with
see a
the-
sidewalk there. That way I wouldn't have to worry about my son trailing over the Piedmont, parts of Piedmont area to see his friends.
Well, they're also expanding the roadway too, and it's going to look like a curb and gutter, widening the streetscape. And then the last thing is adult. There's an adult community that's proposed south of the Walmart. It's about 600 age-restricted units.
Is it condo style or?
They've not revealed it yet. We assume it's going to be a mix of units, the condos, the what do you call it, the single-story, smaller houses you see over here.
Detached housing.
Detached housing.
Kind of like Heritage House.
Restricted?
Okay, I didn't know if it would be like a
Senior living.
sunrise living
Yeah.
facility or something like that.
Yeah, it's an active adult.
There, the last time I was there, which was years ago.
So there was a plan amendment that was approved by the Board of Supervisors, and the rezoning follows. We expect the rezoning to come in a couple of months. So, thanks for the download. Any questions we look at?
So when are they putting the bridge over the railroad tracks on 15?
You know, a lot of the
I'm
public,
just looking ahead.
a lot of the public hearing asked why that wasn't happening. And they're saying it's because of the funding of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And plus the biggest scream that they have for redoing the intersection is that's creep. You know, you can't let this project creep. But it's kind of like, well, you know, all you're going to do is create a big mess right there at 55 and 15. And furthermore, the moment you throw a train down there during work traffic, which is already happening, it just comes into a worse mess.
Well, creep in the sense that right now it's a choke point north of the bridge.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have a choke point south of 55, where everyone's coming in 2 lanes.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to throw that out to scare you.
Oh, no. People have asked about it, so.
Well, you know, they got the right slope of the road, that it's going to be a nice overpass when it comes in. It's not going to be this huge lift like you're seeing up at where old Gallagher used to be.
Gallagher and Littenall, yeah.
Yeah, that looks like that's going to be an incredible slope to have to go up to get over the bridge and come back down.
I hadn't thought about that. It's going to be amusing in the snow. Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Most of the right-of-way is going to come from the west side. So the road won't come any closer to town. If the road widens, it's going to be on the west side.
It's going to be more like what's over 28 in Manassas, isn't it? Because that's a pretty high lift. Across the railroad tracks.
Oh, yeah, the one
there
they
on
just built,
28.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been on that, yeah.
That's kind of.
Well, if you come out of Atlas Walk and hang a right,
You
they
can
see
see the
it. I
slope.
mean, that thing's like a...
Yeah,
Yeah,
straight
that slope
up.
is going to be incredible.
One good day of ice weather is just very
That's
nice.
just what I was going to say. Icy weather is going to
See a
bring
nice
out-
derby.
That's
Close
right.
down with sleds.
Okay, well, we digress, so let's
Yeah.
move on, I guess. We'll go to old business. We have on here the sign samples. I'd like you guys to look at the sign samples in the packet. This is what we've gotten from the Prince William County Sign Division at this point. You can see there's nothing.
That's the only one I like.
That's what you like, huh? There's no real enhancements. All they pretty much did was follow the pictures that I gave them and the concept package that I gave them. So, you know, I got to move forward, but just want to kind of give your your tastes on what we have so far and what kind of ideas I need to throw their way.
Well, and back to the hallowed ground, if they're talking about sign removal, if we put these things up, they come down, they are replaced, and they match with whatever similarities we decide to work with.
Yeah, well, these signs are definitely what we're looking for internal to town for markers for the buildings that we own. That's what these mainly are, right here. The other ones that they have, those were just the placements that I had for, like on 15 and whatever.
Right.
So they didn't really improve the concept. This is the only one I like because I think this is a nice simple one to throw in with the corporate limits sign.
Yeah, well, like on Old Carolina.
Yeah.
Come over, just like
And
right
so the
around
only
that.
2 places I was looking at placing that sign, which I think is the perfect sign for that, is on Jefferson Street both ways. The west side, since it is more residential, we would probably be looking for something like this in a bigger scale than what we have identifying the
Yeah.
town markers.
Yeah, like also like on the east side where the old police station
Yeah,
is coming in.
exactly.
Coming west.
Yeah.
As long as it's not that neon yellow that's on here.
Okay, any questions, comments so far? I got one light for
For this one.
for that one.
I like that. That's the one I like too.
That seems to be across the board.
Yep,
I'm gonna be nosy.
keep it
Which
simple.
one?
This one.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's probably the 2 that we used to have on either end of town that matched our town.
Yes.
The one on that end of town is in
That
Fred's
got run
garage.
over after like the third day it was
Yeah.
up or something like
Yeah,
that.
that one's in Fred's garage. The one that's on the east end of town, I think, is in the basement of the police station. So
They could have needed to be made out of heavy-duty metal,
concrete.
concrete.
Etched in stone.
I'd like to put them a little bit further off the road, but there's no place to
Well,
put
then
them
you
off
can't
the road.
see them if they sit too far in.
Well, I mean, you're looking at on the west side or the east side. If you look at maybe putting them on the roadside, there's no real roadside as you're coming westward into town. But if you're going out and you want to put something on the residential side where Green Hill Crossing is, all you have is the area between the sidewalk and the curb, and that's not much. That's not a big area.
Well, the old one used to be on the Pace West side. There's actually a lot of right-of-way in that area.
Yeah, but there's a lot of foliage there. You definitely.
Yeah, so
need to
hopefully when
maintain
Sean's able to negotiate getting all that stuff torn out, you'll have the area to put it back in.
that. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any other questions about signage so far? Rah. Swim bar. Continue on. Move forward. Get this sign project done. Right. Okay. We also have on here when Sherry was in West Virginia, she took pictures of the McDonald's. Like we've said a few times in the meeting, you got the live version of it if you want on 29.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry, but that just does not fit our streetscape, no matter how you look at it. I don't think that's ever going to be able to come to our town unless we modify our streetscape.
It's interesting that you say it's so modern looking. The city that this was in, it's like 30 years behind the time. But I just found it very interesting that the style McDonald's was there. I mean, it's old country town.
the one up in Leesburg, they actually rebuilt, but that one had almost the same design as the Sheets, with the stacked stone as the base and the red brick above, and then the concrete or the tan bands around it. But they said that was because it was new construction, that they couldn't attach that facade to an existing structure. So, we'll see.
Yeah, which
Okay.
I find kind of, well,
If Sheets
They're
can do it,
difficult.
Sheets can do it, why can't they do it?
right, their difficulty is they don't want to get rid of their window space.
Yeah.
And, to be able to put the stone up and then the brick up, you're losing a lot of that window space that they want. But, we'll negotiate with them if they want to come out, but right now they haven't shown any interest to come back.
Is there any examples of perhaps McDonald's in other jurisdictions with, like you said, even more sophisticated historic?
Sorry, I should have chosen a
No,
better
I'm
word.
kidding. But were McDonald's, like Sheetz, because there's just what you said is exactly right. At first they say, oh, we have to have this. And then, after you talk to them for a while, they can actually show you examples where they've done all kinds of different things. Is McDonald's, are there examples that we can point out to them? Oh, well, here, you did this.
The most telling sign is if you go on images on Bing
Okay.
and type in McDonald's renovation, and you'll have a plethora of same thing with Sheetz rebuild on images, and it'll kick up a slew of.
So we can say,
And I did do a Google search on McDonald's stuff, and I couldn't find, I didn't find much on any modifications to the renovations. I even had a hard time finding what their new concept was going to be externally. They really focused internally on how they position things, but they never gave an external view.
This is McDonald's on Google?
Yeah, when I was Googling McDonald's for stuff.
Did you go under images or just a search?
I think I was under images.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
The Sheets I had a lot when I Googled Sheets because that's how Alan pointed me out. So, well, if you want to see what we're doing,
Yeah, I didn't check Sheets out.
we could probably with the McDonald's. You probably just look at the other historic districts and call them up and say, do you have examples of what they're doing?
Yeah, because this was not fine in Williamsburg, I'm sure.
What's that?
I'm sure this didn't go into Williamsburg, the McDonald's in Williamsburg.
I was in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and most of their signage wasn't the typical branding. It was
Did they have the swoosh? Okay, because they were really adamant that was sand.
Oh, yeah, I had to do that.
what they had was it was an inline store, and it had the vertical McDonald's, and it wasn't even the standard script. It was a different script. So
Well, probably because they didn't have the space to, or did they have the space to do the
they
horizontal?
probably could have, but it was within the historic district, and they were able to. Plus, they had to walk by. I think.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We'll, under old business, we'll look at the task list, and I'll go over that real quick. Of course, bylaws, we still have it on hold. No change for the month and the year since you're still tossing around how we want to really put our historic zoning or layout, whatever the historic package is going to be. Caboose Enhancement Project, I was lame this month. I didn't have a chance to sit down with Jenny and discuss it with her, so I don't have any updates for the Caboose project to see if we're going to start acting on that yet and doing whatever we can to assist.
I have one update on that, is that I did get a phone call from the National Historic Railroad Society, so they've been trying to get photos of that caboose on a train, working with serial number and things like that, because they have none in record. So they sent me like multiple packages with the wrong caboose. But they did finally call me and say I've not been able to find any record of that caboose whatsoever.
Okay.
Do we know where it came from? Does the town have any clue where it came
Oh,
from?
we got it from Southern Railroad. It was donated back in, what I want to say, 70-something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But beyond that, where it came from, how Southern
How
Railroad.
it got here to, yeah.
How they got a hold of it, we don't know.
Where it came from there.
Yeah, and the welcome sign, I think we kind of did our share of discussion on that, showing the pictures that we got from Bud Krager's group. And I'll follow up and say, hey, any other things you can put together for us that might be of more interest. And certified local government, no change on that since I didn't want to steal Marshawn's thunder, but I did anyway.
No.
Let's say the historic overlay
No more change.
didn't have to change. Other than that, that's about it for old business. Last item, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn at 8:02. 2 minutes long. 2 minutes too long.
Giuseppe's what was that incident?